James Charles has finally responded to the most recent accusations made against him, and his response may surprise you. Machine Gun Kelly's drummer, known as Rook, was attacked and robbed, which also saw him get run over by a car. Thankfully, he's expected to make a full recovery and appeared in good spirits while with MGK. On top of all this, police overseas made a huge score when they caught and officially seized thousands of fake COVID vaccines. Got tons to cover right now in InformOverload, so smash that like button and let's go. Also, that last part kind of rhymed with the vaccines, so just give me a like for that alone, come on. Starting things off with James Charles, who appears to be getting involved in one controversy after the next, week after week. Well, to no surprise, he's making headlines for another one. However, before things got out of hand, James seemed to set the record straight sooner than later, or at least tell his side of the story. Ultimately, you guys can decide how you feel about this one. I'll just tell you the facts. So a 16-year-old named Isaiah went on TikTok and Twitter accusing James of grooming, among other things, which includes James asking this guy for pics of himself. James allegedly kept asking for photos, even though he knew Isaiah's age. To make matters worse, there is actual photo evidence in the form of screenshots of the alleged conversation between the two. This led to James trending on Twitter, with many calling for him to be cancelled again. Well, some were quick to defend James and even highlighted the fact that he's been a victim of false accusations in the past. Others fully supported Isaiah. Taking to Twitter shortly after the accusations, James posted a very long notes app explanation / apology of sorts. He touches on the fact that he's not trying to play the victim nor victim blame, but more or less says he was set up. After denying he did anything wrong, James explained, I quote, "Last week I came across someone on my Instagram Explore page, saw he followed me and added him on Snapchat. The next morning I woke up to several snaps from this person being excited that I added him back, saying he loved me and also lewd photos of himself in the shower." James goes on to say he immediately asked for the guy's age, to which Isaiah, as per James, said he was 18. This led to James flirting back until later in the day, in which James explains, I quote, "Later in the day he said a few things that made me question the validity of his original age answer, and when I asked him to confirm his age once again, he admitted he was 16. James then continued on by explaining at this point he told Isaiah he was uncomfortable and apologized, to which Isaiah allegedly pushed for the two to keep talking, saying it'll be their secret. James then claims he told Isaiah he wasn't okay with that, which led to him getting upset with James and James unfriending him. They haven't spoken since, and now here we are. James finished off the Notes app post with, I quote, "I'm not victim blaming or victimizing myself either, simply sharing what happened, and what happened was not okay. After false allegations like this in the past, I would never knowingly engage with anyone underage and put my life on the line for a few Snapchats." He also added in, moving forward, he's going to be asking for photo ID from everyone he engages in conversation with. Now, based on what you guys know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole situation. It seems some of the original tweets accusing James were deleted, and this could potentially be due to legal reasons. Maybe it's evidence they don't want to be public knowledge, or it's possible James could have threatened a lawsuit for defamation. Maybe Isaiah just deleted them and it hasn't gotten to the point where any legal has gotten involved. Who knows? All I know is that Twitter appears divided, with many blaming James and others defending him. It's unclear how things play out from here, so we'll keep you guys updated, but let me know your thoughts down below. Moving on to Machine Gun Kelly's drummer, according to law enforcement, he was robbed by a couple of men and then run over by a car. Thankfully, it seems the injuries sustained weren't too awful in the sense that he's going to be okay, but what a horrible situation. JP Capoletti, known as Rook, was walking down the street around 8 p.m. in the Hollywood Hills with a friend when two guys got out of a car to jump them. Sources claim there was a physical altercation of sorts, so it's likely Rook and his friend put up a fight, but sources are still scarce and he ended up getting thousands of dollars worth of property stolen from him. I'm gonna say probably in the form of cash, jewelry, maybe his phone, and who knows what else. It's unclear as of now when he was hit by the car or how it played out, but from the photos shared on social media, it appears he broke his arm and leg as they were both in a cast while Rook sat in a hospital bed. One source claims after the physical altercation, one of the suspects got in the car to deliberately run the two men over. It's unclear if the suspects were armed. Given that they used a car as a weapon, I'm gonna say probably not. But I'm no detective. The 27-year-old posted a photo of himself to his Instagram story, appearing to be in good spirits, with the caption, "Don't worry, I'll bounce back." Rook has been drumming for MGK since he was a senior in high school back in 2012. Another photo from Instagram shows MGK paid his drummer a visit, with a selfie showing the rapper flipping off the camera at the edge of Rook's hospital bed. Seems like a nice guy. As always, wishing Rook and the other person who was a victim of this attack all the best and a very speedy recovery. Hopefully won't be long before these guys are caught and put behind bars. Obviously the guys that did the crime, not the victims, obviously. And now to wrap things up, police have seized thousands of fake vaccines in what could potentially be one of the biggest issues we have globally moving forward. The medicine and health industry is a billion-dollar industry, and when you have a pandemic like the one we're currently in, well, desperate times call for desperate measures. Countries, hopefully, are willing to pay a lot more than they normally would just to ensure the health and safety of their citizens. Specifically referencing the new COVID-19 vaccine that will hopefully bring the world back to a state of normal, for lack of a better word, while every country is trying to get their hands on them. And at one point there was a bidding war, and to no surprise, some of the wealthier countries were able to put in the highest bids. Now with that being said, even some of the countries who bid the most still haven't received the vaccine, or as many as originally expected. Whether it's due to logistics or simply supply and demand, things are taking longer than they should. Which brings us to the fake COVID vaccines. As is the case with literally anything when we're talking about supply and demand, whether it's a collectible item like a sports card, a fancy handbag, or maybe even a nice one-of-one car, the price always jacks up. This creates a market for fakes or counterfeits to be created and sold to those who either fall for the ruse and think they're getting the real thing, or know it's a fake and just want to try fooling the rest of the world. Maybe they just like the look and don't want to spend $1,500 on a bag. Who knows? Not the point, guys. The point I'm making is that police in China have arrested who they believe is the leader of a multi-million-dollar scam that sold fake COVID vaccines. The man who's being identified as Kong is one of 70 others arrested in connection with the fake vaccines. Using a mix of mineral water and saline solution, Kong and his team were able to manufacture approximately 58,000 batches of their own creation. Starting in August of last year, the courts have determined that Kong and his team have already profited about $2.78 million and have sent a batch of vaccines, or smuggled actually, overseas. It's unclear where they were sent. It's believed 600 of the vaccines were shipped out of Hong Kong last November, while others were sold at hospitals at inflated prices. It seems this isn't the only instance in which Interpol has been cracking down on people trying to create fake vaccines for a profit. Interpol, which is the International Criminal Police Organization, released a statement explaining, I quote, "Following our warning that criminals would target the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines both on and offline, Interpol continues to provide its full support to national authorities working to protect the health and safety of their citizens. These arrests underline the unique role of Interpol in bringing together key players from both the public and private sectors to protect public safety." They went on to explain that no approved vaccines are available for sale online. As of now, it seems the majority of these counterfeit vaccines are being produced and distributed out of China and South Africa, but that's just what we're aware of. Hopefully Interpol and all law enforcement officials will be able to continue cracking down on these lowlifes, because really, that's what they are. I mean, really you care more about making a profit than you do the greater good of the human race? You're really willing to give people fake vaccines, which would likely continue the spread of COVID, just to line your pockets? For what? To live in a world that's still in a pandemic? Not only are these criminals pieces of garbage, but they're also really stupid. So don't be like them. Alright guys, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one down below. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Disturbing Tom Cruise video goes viral on TikTok. Erica Stone said, "This could be used to ruin someone's life. You can actually put words into someone else's mouth. An actor or actress you don't like, and they're good people. World leaders, and that can start a war." 100% agree. The technology is a little uncomfortable, it's a little unsettling. I think it's great that we've made such incredible advancements, but at the same time, there's gotta be some sort of like safeguard that we can't impersonate other people, because again, with everything moving online, at some point you're gonna be able to, get someone's facial recognition and unlock certain passwords online, sensitive information. It's scary. LB said, "The creepy overrides the fun of it." I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw it, I loved it. I was laughing, it was very fun, but it was really creepy. Miss Shady said, "Imagine if it was actually Tom Cruise trolling everyone." Could you imagine? Just, "Hey guys, it was really me, Tom Cruise. I know you're impressed with the tech." I know you're impressed with the technology. That's why you gotta come join the church. You gotta come join the Church of Scientology, because I love Katie. All right, guys, that's my Tom Cruise impression for you. Probably wasn't that great. Be better if I deep faked it with my face. But anyways, guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein, and I love Katie. We'll see you soon.